and
And the
that
friends.
stream especially. Yeah,
Yeah, the friends that
definitely.
you make, and how much fun it is when you finally meet up, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah,
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 I think we've only met one other time on in person in game. I think it was through Dylan's stream one of the times. So you and I actually haven't interacted in game so much, but
right.
we've interacted within the community for great length, and in between the streams and Amino and other media apps. Geez, it's been God. It feels like forever, but it's only been like 3 years.
Right.
And it was before all of that. Like you were one of the first guys that was there streaming and in Dylan's stream and in other streams. There's like a group of us, sort of the Twitch crew that would stroll around helping other travelers that didn't know much about the game.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the fun part. I think we all bonded around that time for, several reasons. I don't know about yourself, but I was new to streaming. So like the first time I
Me too.
streamed No Man's Sky was my first stream. And it was not something that I ever thought I would do. But there's just this other component along with the game that you were kind of alluding to, with the community and the interaction with the community. And one of the things, especially early on, when the game didn't really um, do as much hand holding. Not that it really does that now, but there really wasn't much in the way of tutorials, and so it was a lot of like just experimenting on your own and trying to figure things out, or watching streams and figuring things out and asking questions. And so, especially when there was someone new, I really enjoyed the ability to jump in and kind of try to explain what was going on in this crazy universe of, in game, and it was a lot of fun. And then two, there was obviously a little bit of a backlash going on, and I think that when someone was streaming and someone would come in to kind of troll the streamer or the game, the streamer didn't even have to do anything. It was everybody in the chat was like, before the streamer could even react, like
oh
they were
yeah.
on it,
Oh oh yeah.
and that was fun. Everybody had your back.
Yeah, yeah. The trolls were not welcome at any of those streams, and some of them actually changed their mind and actually became decent viewers and people who
I,
may have picked up the game and enjoyed it. For that matter. I like to think
there
we
was
turned a few minds around.
There absolutely was. I haven't thought about this person in a while, but back this was somewhere around Foundation, probably a month or two before Foundation. There was a guy, Double D, designated douche was his name.
Oh, I
Do you
remember.
remember that guy?
Yes,
He
yes.
used to pop. He used to pop into. He was actually like coming in with a name like that. First of all, and then immediately starts trolling. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
this
eyebrows
guy.
up.
Yeah, and he said a few things, that were kind of, what people said back then. And then you would always see him in streams. Like he was in Dylan's stream, he was in a Lion Named King's stream, and he was actually, friendly to talk to. He wasn't like the type of troll that like comes in and
Yeah.
says something and then and bounces. And then I don't know, a couple weeks later, he's streaming the game, and that was the most amazing thing. I loved going into his stream and just being like, what kind of world are we in now? Like you were just, a few weeks ago ripping on the game, and here you are. You bought the game, you're streaming the game, and you like the game, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was in one of the aminos for a little bit too, posting screenshots, and it was nice to see, because a lot of that kind of misguided hate or angst towards the game was because it was the trendy thing to do, and not it was coming from that rather than somebody who had played it and not liked it. So when they actually gave it a shot, to see some people come around full circle, that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, showing people that the game is fun and that it isn't this horrible piece of graphic technology that was thrust upon them. Yeah, it was a true treat and a treasure, and we all found it that way. And like you said, the tutorials weren't there, so we were the tutorial. Like the ones that played the
Yeah.
game, we were telling everybody else how to enjoy it, and they were finding enjoyment. And the community started to grow within, like Twitch, amongst others, and Amino started to pick up as well. I think I got my first taste of Amino through the Nerd League. if you remember that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's since gone, unfortunately. But yeah, Dylan had the Nerd League, and that's where we started posting pictures as well. For me, it took on a little bit of a love where I found I really liked Amino and its format, and it turned out to be a really great app for this game. And I wish it was more widely used. That would be fantastic. But for now, we'll settle for what it is. And it's we're using it today for the broadcast. So it has good things. Amino's a good thing. Discord, we're
Yeah.
also on Discord, but it's not quite the same. It's more chat oriented. But there's a lot of great people that enjoy Discord over Amino. So we're covering both
Yeah,
fields
you got
there.
to cover all grounds, but I agree, and I think the amino, especially the cafe, has tend to be that like beacon of light, as far as positivity and stuff. That like when you get on other forms of social media, some other aminos we won't really talk about, but the like Twitter, for example, and I post a lot of screenshots on Twitter, but there's also other stuff on Twitter that I don't really care to see because I like this game as an escape, and the amino, it's very the UI is friendly, the interaction, all the things that you can do, posting pictures, blogs, videos, all kind of all NMS related. It was something along with the game that I didn't know I needed. I had never. I've played games for years since the late '70s, early '80s, and
You never
I
needed a
just
companion app. No.
I just played the game, whatever game
Yeah.
I played, and I didn't really have a sense of a community. There was one other game that I played where there was a little bit of a sense of community. It was Madden, and it was just a league of some. It wasn't anything competitive like that was out there. It was just basically 12 people that kind of knew each other through meeting up online, and so I knew people that way. But that was really just you play a game and there's some stats, and there really wasn't you know getting to know the person that well. I think that happened with this game, and especially through Amino, and then using that and capturing screenshots, and especially in the early days when there was so much mystery about not knowing what's in the game. Like, you would check out Amino to see what other people had discovered because you hadn't seen it yet, and
Yeah.
that was amazing. Like, I was in that thing all the time, early on, because you just didn't know what someone was going to run across, and to a lesser extent now, but the people are still there, and the ability to do that, along with some other things. The functionality of Amino has just has gotten a lot better too since then.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a pretty good app, and there's a lot of aminos out there that are also taking advantage of it. Um, they're all there on the list, and people can pick and choose where they think they want to go. It's a nice format and a nice media platform to play around on. Let's talk about you for a little bit. So you're close by me. We live very
Yes.
close distance, only a couple hours. I'm Vancouver in Canada, and you're in Seattle. Whereabouts in Seattle?
I'm in Seattle. I'm just north of downtown. Still in Seattle proper, but not the downtown area. I'm in a neighborhood called Magnolia.
Ah,
So if there's any, I'm also directly across the street from Discovery Park, and it's a giant 500-acre park in Seattle. It's fantastic. It borders the Puget Sound. And if there's any grunge fans out there, if you remember Temple of the Dog, which was Soundgarden and Pearl Jam getting together, and they released a Hunger Strike video. That was filmed across the street in the park. So
I think I do remember that video. Oh my God, that brings back memories.
yeah, yeah, that's a whole other tangent, but yeah,
Wow,
that's
that's gorgeous to have a park right in front of your home. That's nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
and it's a really nice park. It's so big, like it feels really outdoorsy, and it's a type of park where there might be a cougar on the loose or something out in there that, like, every once in a while there's like some wild animal that you don't want to go in there. So it's very much kind of a
Definitely watch your
rugged outdoor
pets.
park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I like it that way myself, being close to nature. I live in the mountains or close to the mountains. We see coyotes, deer, bears all the time. all the time around here. It's sort of a common occurrence, right? You know, to make sure your garbage is put away properly, or the bears will
Right.
get at it.
Oh,
Um,
so I'm not originally from the Northwest, but I've been out here for 15 years. So
oh
I'm
wow,
kind of a,
you're used to it
you
now.
know, I'm used to it now, and I like to think of myself as a more than a transplant, I guess. But that was one of the things that I had to get used to, going camping with friends in the mountains, and then tying your food into a bag, and then
Yeah.
pulling it up in a tree. And I was like, why are we doing that? Like, oh, for bears. Like, what? And then like not, I mean, even including things like toothpaste and things like that either bears or little field mice would get into your tent, and so
Oh
that was
yeah,
kind of a new
yeah.
thing for me.
Anything with food scent or sweet smelling, yeah,
Right?
you got to
Yeah,
stash
it
that.
was.
Hmm.
You burn all the plastic, the paper cups or utensils that you used, and then everything else just went up in a tree, and then of course you hauled it all out when you left.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know camping is a blast up in the Northwest. There's so much vast territory to just explore. Um,
It's
it,
on a different level
it
from where I'm
is.
from. Where I'm from, it's very flat, cornfields, farming area, part of the United States, and so like it. The only camping we had was really car camping. You would drive in,
Tailgate
often.
parties. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was very easy, but like it didn't have the beauty that we have out here now in the Northwest. Like, I've just camping on Baker Lake or Lake Cle Elum, where you actually, my buddy we would boat into a camping site that you can't drive to. So like the
Yep.
only way to get there is to drive your boat across, one of these mountain lakes.
Hmm. Yep.
And so
That's the
that
best
was
way
new
to
to me.
go. That
Yeah,
is the best.
absolutely.
Yeah, we do it with a
Stay away
canoe.
from the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really good times.
Yeah, it's fantastic to canoe across a channel or a lake, and camp on the other side where the all the ground is nice, the beaches are nice. There's usually decent firewood to collect. Yeah, it definitely the way to go. I enjoy camping a lot, and we should probably get that underway and do that sometime this summer.
I
Squamish
agree.
is a great place to camp out.
I actually went up. Gosh, it's been a few years. In Squamish. My ex-girlfriend and I actually went up there for a week, and I can't remember exactly. I'll have to look it up after we get done here, but I know it was in Squamish, and there was this was kind of car camping too, but it was beautiful up there. I
There's
had a
nothing wrong with car
blast.
camping. I do plenty of that. Show up,
Yeah,
open the tailgate,
yeah. Well,
get the barbecue out.
we were. It's a good thing that we did, because like a monster storm came through when we were there, and so like she had this little hatchback like Honda Civic, and that's where we ended up sleeping for the night. Like after about halfway through, we realized that we're in bad shape staying out in this tent.
Yeah, the rain sometimes. That'll get you. Yeah, staying
Yeah.
dry, it can be a challenge, but it's worth it if you're prepared. If you've got like tarps and stuff, definitely. I I never go anywhere without a tarp because, well, it's Vancouver.
Yeah.
So, we talked about you be playing the game for ever since day one. Um, what what do you love about it? What makes you love this game so much?
Well, it's a number of things. I think what resonated most with me right away, it was different than any game that I had played in the past, and different in. I played a lot of AAA titles. It was either sports games or AAA titles,
Yeah.
and this it just offered. It was everything about it was different to me, and
Well, the
it
procedural
was.
generation was the big one, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it had like these therapeutic qualities. Like I would play those other games, and then like I couldn't go to sleep right away afterwards because I was all tense, and like I just been playing Halo 2 online, or GTA online, or whatever, and so like this was just kind of a new, slower paced game, a bit of mystery, kind of a thinking man's game, if there is such a thing, like it just,
Yeah, you
the
could think
music,
but not think.
right, exactly. Well, Yeah, I mean, it's something deeper than a typical AAA title, a shoot 'em up game, I guess.
Yeah.
Whether it's the subject matter of science fiction, and then also, being born in the '70s, where I dreamed by the time 2000, I was convinced we were going to have jetpacks and flying cars. Right? Never happened, or hasn't happened yet. But like there was just that tie-in back then to being fascinated with space travel, and just kind of letting your imagination go. And so this game, it's often been compared to a '70s sci-fi novel book cover, as far as like the color palette and the ships and whatnot. And I couldn't agree more. I read a few of those as a kid, and you play this game, and it doesn't hold your hand, and it really lets you kind of take control of where you want to take it from your own imagination standpoint. And when I would play this, first of all, I was alarmed because I played it for at least 100 days. I want to say 122 straight days without stopping, like without a break. And I was like, what is going on with me, right? I've never had this kind of addiction to a game. And I would try to play some other games, like just be like, are you okay? And I remember playing some other games or trying to, and I felt so claustrophobic. And so just the ability to go anywhere, do anything. One of the games that I fired up was Mass Effect. And I remember it's a great game, but like I remember in one scene, like I wanted to fly to that planet and I couldn't fly to that planet in the game because it was just,
you had to follow that linear path of story that they gave you.
And so like the ability to do that, kind of the mystery around it, the mining, I never would have thought I would be enjoy a game of that has inventory management. Like it never.
I've spent all day mining. Yeah, mining and managing all day sometimes. Yeah,
but it was kind of the perfect story. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that you bring up another one. There was, and I would often reach out to you because I was always near my breaking point, and one in particular comes to mind where I was at like 36 hours for one S-Class
You waited.
ship.
It was like a week. You were waiting.
2
for
weeks.
That thing.
It was 2 weeks. 36 hours over 2 weeks. And I remember, because I needed to like talk to somebody, and I would often just shoot you a message and chat in the amino and just be like, okay, so, and at that point, like I'm waiting it out and I'm like, should I reload or wait it out? Because like I've been going back and forth and I'm like, this is taking forever. But like,
at some point you start pacing.
I mean, obviously you want to get the ship, but like when I look back on those times, those are fond memories to me. Like, and I don't know that, I could do that with other games. And so, and again, hitting on the kind of therapeutic qualities, not only relaxing, but there was a lot of stuff going on, in my personal life back then. And so this was truly an escape. Just to turn on the game, forget everything, listen to this amazing soundtrack and just blast into space. The feeling of solitude that the game gives you is
you can sink right into it. It
like
is
no
my
other,
escape.
and I like that.
Oh yeah.
Some people say, well, it's a lonely game. Well, it is, but I love that feeling. I mean, it feels real to me. To be in this universe by yourself. I mean, it's a little different now, but that same feeling
that alone
is
time.
Still there.
Yeah, it's kind of like going in a corner and reading a book, your sci-fi book. Only you get to write it and do whatever you want because of the open sandbox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it the same way. It's therapeutic, and it's my escape. You get out and you just fly around, and there's no set plan. I don't even know what the heck I'm going to do from day to day. I mean, I don't play as often as I'd like this last little while, but you get on and you're just like, well, what do you want to do today? I don't know. Let's warp over here. That sounds good. Or maybe let's do some zoology and
yeah,
or base building.
I think, yeah, another thing too is these screenshots. I never took screenshots in a game. In fact, I think when I first heard that, there was a share feature, I just kind of laughed at it. This was pre No Man's Sky because I just could never imagine myself feeling the need to share something from the game, whether it was a score or a picture. I just, for some reason, that didn't resonate with me back then. And then, I mean, immediately playing this game, probably for the first 2 weeks, I'm holding up my camera for my phone with the camera to
At the
taking
TV.
pictures of the TV,
Yeah.
and then posting that on the Amino, and then finally, realizing, figuring out how to have these like, in-game screenshots, and then it went from having never done that to, I don't even know how many thousand, well over 20,000, screenshots, and a lot more most likely because I've deleted some files. But it's like that's primarily what I do. I find these moments in the game with these incredible vistas, and like I feel it when I'm playing. I try, and you want to try to capture that on and post it on Twitter and the Amino. And I think that what's cool about that versus other games, and I've tried this in other games, but the problem is when you post a screenshot, from another game, everybody else that's played that game has been to that exact point in the story, or they know that scenery, or they know they've been there, right?
Exactly.
Whereas with
That's
No
that
Man's
linear
Sky,
path. Hmm.
you know, you don't know. Now, while we pretty much have figured out the majority of what's in the game, you're seeing different variations of it, which is cool. But you're still seeing like amazing screenshots of views, and some of the virtual photographers that are in the community. For instance, like Jack Brown. I mean, just
Amazing.
on a
Oh yeah.
completely different level. Like, and he was even back in the day before photo mode, he would post these amazing screenshots, and I couldn't figure out how he did it, but like essentially, if there was like a group of ships that were flying over or around a trading post or something like that, he would climb up on one of the mountains or rocks where they're flying just in front of him, and he would capture these. He would have to time it right, but even back then, he had some. I mean, just kind of next level screenshots where I couldn't even think of going to that point to grab a picture of the game, because when you did a screenshot, it was just, everything that's on screen is there, your HUD, your all your different warnings and all that stuff. So that's another thing that I loved about it, and just did not expect is
The
that I
whole
would,
camera mode. Yeah. When they introduced that, it changed the game.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, it was great already, but being able to go in camera mode and play around with those shots that we're already taking, that just made it like 100-fold better. And we use it to no end. I'm using it right now filming this video.
no
Exactly.
kidding.
Exactly, because it gives you that clean image. You're still moving on multiplayer. It's perfect. And that's just for this one application. I mean, there's so many others. And Jack Brown, oh my God, that guy has posted some of the most amazing scenery and shots. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I wish I'd see more of it because Jack Brown is an amazing photographer. He
yeah.
can capture some of the best scenes I've ever seen in this game. I got to get on Twitter and start following that
Yeah, I
guy for
mean,
sure.
follow him, and there's a couple other, but he's primarily like, I mean, it's just everything he posts is gold for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah.
So
Um, Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt. I need to take five.
okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do it. We can take a quick five. I'll find a way to
Okay.
edit it if I can, and if not, then we'll just chit chat. So it's not a worry.
Okay. I will be right back.
Sounds good. Interlude Jeopardy music here. Editing isn't possible, I don't think, so we can chit chat in between the show. We'll call this in the cafe's first intermission.
I am back.
Welcome back.
I apologize for that. There was a FedEx delivery man at my door.
No worries, no worries. We've been talking a while anyway, so
Good.
I sort of kept you from your real life.
No. It's all right. There's a knock at the door and they don't go away. That's like
you need to answer it. Yep,
Yeah.
it's all good. No worries. We're all casual here, and it gives us a chance for intermission and chit chat in between, anyways, while we're broadcasting. So, you know what? You bring us something new. Thank you. What's in the FedEx box?
This is a gift for my mom. So.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Well, it's for her. So, she'll enjoy it.
Perfect. Right on. Yeah, I guess Christmas season, right? Yeah, get everything's in order.
It's one of those things too, like where if FedEx doesn't deliver it, then you got to play this back and forth. I don't know how it is up your way, but like if I don't answer that door, they'll leave a note that they'll try to deliver it tomorrow, and if I'm not there for that, then they'll leave another note that you have to pick it up at the facilities, and then it's like, but now you're running into the weekend, and it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, just get it now. Yep, easier to do it now and have it and be done with it. And that Christmas present is off the list. So it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, we should probably get moving and wrap it up anyways.
Sure.
All right, so you told us why you love the game so much. What keeps you bringing? Excuse my word salad. What keeps you playing the game? Like what brings you back?
Well,
after
it's
3
again,
years.
Yeah, it's well. There's a couple things. I mean, one, they keep updating the game, so that's nice. But I mean, that I wouldn't say is the reason, but or the main reason anyway. But it's kind of the what stood out to me about the game back in 2016. The relaxing qualities of it, the ability to have an escape, because. While things in life are much smoother now, there are still days long days at work where I want to come back, I want to chill out, and I want to just I want to decompress. And so this still provides that for me in ways that other games just can't, satisfy me, right? And so the ability to do that and have, like what you were saying earlier, no real agenda, or maybe you start off doing one thing, like I'm so I have a journal. This is another thing that was so cool, and Dylan's talked about it in his streams. Something that I did as a kid, because you had to write down codes and whatnot, way back in the 80s, in the Nintendo games. But I actually have a notebook where I jot down notes, or if I'm doing hunting for a multi-tool and I'm jotting down like coordinates or whatever. And to me, that's like another aspect of the game that some people might not find fun, but to me, that's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. That's
doing
that's the nerd
science
thing.
for the game, right?
Yeah.
And it's like no other game really offers that. And so like you'll get into these. I tell you what the most distracting thing in the game for me is I'll get on like, oh, I'm gonna start building a living glass farm or something, and I'm thinking in particular back to Atlas Rises when I eventually got it built, but I started, and then when I'm gathering resources, I find a ship that I want, and then now all of a sudden I have to put the living glass farm on hold because I got to find the S-class version of the ship. And how many times has that happened where you're doing one thing and you're like, oh wait, got to have it,
distraction.
And I'm the type where if I don't, even though I can jot it down, I'll forget it, or I'll just never go back and get that ship. So then it just takes on, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next either 2 hours or 2 weeks, waiting on this S-class ship. But I mean, there's just so much to the game and so many different ways to play it that and again, the fact that it's a 3-year-old game, 3.5-year-old game, and they're still updating it. Like other games that came out, way after have long ceased being developed. I think of like Horizon Zero Dawn. God of War came and went, was Game of the Year in 2018, an amazing game. but these games are just, they're done. They had their time,
They
and
have a
No Man's
limited
Sky,
shelf life. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
and No Man's Sky is still, um, is still very much alive, and they're doing all sorts of, new things, for the community, you know, bringing in new players, whether it be, through, multiplayer or VR, and the VR especially. I've got really involved in that this year, and I absolutely love it. But like in doing that, that really, I feel like well, I won't say I'm part of the bigger VR community, but I'm very aware of like who the big content creators are, and more of the history of VR as far as on a commercial level, since 2016, because of No Man's Sky. Is like
Yeah.
I've learned all this other stuff, and what a game No Man's Sky is in the VR community, because there's nothing else really like it there. I mean, everything else. Uh, VR is just now, um,
It's pretty
most
amazing.
of the yeah, and most of the games before No Man's Sky. I mean, they were almost like short demos. Like, I mean, some of them are games. Don't get me wrong, but like they're either a straight up, multiplayer, where you're in a map, but there was never this like nothing like No Man's Sky. And there's a couple other games now that were just released within the last month within in VR, and you see that community really taking off, and that's exciting, for No Man's Sky, because here's this exploration game, and once they got kind of the initial bugs ironed out, I mean, people that were VR fans and not No Man's Sky fans just absolutely loved the game. I found a lot of great feedback and reviews, and just because there isn't a game that where you can sink to 300 hours in VR, besides No Man's Sky right now. So
It seems that way. Like a lot of the games were, as you said, demos, and very linear, right? So the programming to have that VR was all linear, and everybody saw the same thing. No Man's Sky is the first VR game where it's you see it as an open world. Everything is just as procedurally generated through that VR headset as it would be as if you're playing single player or any other mode, which again is revolutionary in the whole business.
well,
Um,
and it was they took a very thoughtful approach to it as well, in terms of some of the interactions in VR, as far as your pointing to your wrist, and then the screen comes up. Always say Minority Report style. So like you're pointing with your finger to this like screen that comes up to manage your
I really like
inventory,
that. Yes,
and that is
that's a
it's
really
yeah
nice feature. Yes.
it's cool that like, apparently, again, I don't have a lot of experience with many other games, and especially a port, meaning that there was this game that existed like No Man's Sky, and they ported it over to VR. It wasn't made just for VR. So a lot of those ports, from games that weren't VR, don't get as much, as much thought put into, hey, this is a VR game. We need to make, managing your inventory, somewhat fun, and, kind
Simple,
of, yeah,
easy. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It has to be easy to manage, otherwise it's you won't pick it up. And that's one thing that they've done. Even when they introduced the whole inventory management from back in Foundation, well, let's face it, it took place well before that, because when we only had one ship, and if you were like me racing across the cosmos like a maniac, you had to pick and choose what you put in that one ship and its slots.
Yeah, I mean, I remember decisions had to be made back when I was collecting, Gravitino balls,
Oh yeah.
for money, and yeah, I mean, I had before Foundation. I'm
That's when you
trying
could
to think.
stack them. That's when you could
Yeah,
stack them, and you
you
didn't
could
want to
stack
lose
them.
those stacks, remember?
Yeah,
And in the end, we lost them anyways. But
unless you yeah. I mean, I had two big stacks in inventory that I lost the value. But I had a pretty decent. I mean, if you think back then, there really wasn't a great way to make money selling dynamic resonators. That was how you got started, you know.
it was a good way to
But
go, flipping
yeah,
dynamic resonators,
it
right?
was.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think I had 70 million units when Foundation launched, which was kind of
That's pretty good.
high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you had to, because I mean, ships, like it, that was part of the game, the grind, get some money, so that you
right. Also,
this and
like trying to 100% planets like that was something that I
that
got
was a
into
big
a
thing.
lot.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a really big thing.
I yeah, I loved it for a while, for a stretch. In fact, I hit 100, I think 100 planets probably a week or two before Foundation hit, and that's what I was doing with a lot of my time. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I remember
Um,
that. I saw that stream.
yeah,
I
it
saw that
was a lot of
stream.
fun. And
We
again,
were
that was something that was new to me, like, discovering all the creatures, cataloging them, naming them if you want to. I mean, and that was something else that was fun, especially in the early days. I don't really name as many things like I did back then, but like, there was,
whole
you
streams were
know,
made of that. Frosty
yeah,
did that. That was Frosty's thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, they're geez,
But
it
I would
brings
pick
back
things like,
memories.
favorite albums. I would name every planet one of my top five favorite albums or something like that. And, I would
Themes.
name like an ugly looking creature, this like bully from my junior high or something like that.
Hey,
Uh,
do you remember this? Jeff Goldblum.
oh, yes, Jeff Goldblum. And how about Pear Jam? Do you remember
Pear
Pear
Jam,
Jam?
yes, Pear Jam. For those of you who don't know, in the early days on Nerd Down Dylan's stream, Stripes and I were very always there, frequenting his stream, and we had one of his Dylan stream. He named everything on the planet Jeff Goldblum. Everything, like the rocks, the trees, the animals, everything was Jeff Goldblum. And then he did it again in another planet, and it was all like Pearl Jam, right? And he named everything Pearl Jam except one thing, and it was Pear Jam.
Yeah,
And it was a
and it was
big
the
one.
planet too. It was
It
the
was the
planet,
planet.
and
That's
so
right.
the planet said Pear Jam. Those are great times. Again, going back because all those features were so new, and so we were just having a lot of fun with, you know, I mean, there was so much more in the game or to be added after that point, but like it didn't matter. We still had so much fun just doing the basics. Just
We
traveling, exploring. That's really all there was, and then naming stuff and,
yeah.
and, and all of that. And everybody was. There was obviously a lot of hype around the game, so people were checking out streams, and it was just a special time, one that I'll never forget. And it's amazing, that we still have updates for this game, and so. One of the things that I'm looking forward to is diving in, and I'm going to be terrible at it, but playing around with a byte beat synthesizer. And I say I'm going to be terrible at it because while I enjoy music, I enjoy listening to music. Making music, that's something I don't think I'll be very good at, but I think it's cool that they added it into the game, and I've seen a couple of things. I don't know if you read the patch notes. But there was one developer at Hello Games who this was his baby basically,
Right.
and he wanted to kind of give it to the community. And he worked with the audio engineer Paul Weir, and so he just wanted to give something to where a different avenue of creativity to players that maybe are already playing the game, or maybe that they're not, but now all of a sudden there's a music making feature of with some cool 80s synth style sounds, and it's really cool that they gave him the kind of freedom to run with it, and add it to the game. And I do think that I know I'm going to play around with it. I don't really have too many hopes that I'll turn into some brilliant music composer, but I haven't really tried much before. So I know there are many in the community who have kind of a musical background or have mixed music or DJ'd, and so this is right up their alley. And so it's just going to be a matter of a few days. before there's going to be some really cool stuff going on with that edition. And
Well,
that's just one little thing, you know. I mean,
yeah,
it's like essentially it's like a base building component is all it is because you have to tie it to your base. So, uh, but it's so broad in terms of what you can do with it. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the community's creations.
yeah, it's a fun, new, and creative thing that they've given us that we can play with in this open world where now music can be made and used. Um, I think what might be kind of interesting is if we were able to have music in our ships and
Oh, that yeah,
exocraft and in your base, playing in your base, like a radio or something. That would be kind of neat. And maybe we're seeing the start of that with, the introduction of the beatbox. Um,
right.
yeah, I mean, who knows, right? And this game, innovative, and it never disappoints. There's always bringing something new to the game. Granted, there's always a few bugs, but that comes with any game and any new updates that come along, and
Yeah,
and they do
I
fix
think
them. It just takes time.
it does take time. I think we've all if you play this game long enough, you're going to have it's well documented, and they probably have them more than their share than some other games. But their other games aren't don't have a completely procedurally generated universe. But like I had some major downtime. Before Beyond because I had a save issue that affected all saves, and it was frustrating. But like what, at the end of the day, it's like it is what it is. I can still play, and I know they'll fix it, eventually, and it did happen. So yeah,
Some
I
things
think
just
it's
take time. Yeah, yeah.
right.
And if HG is listening, I'm patient. I'll wait for my ships to get fixed. Just lop that
There's
wing
one
off,
wing.
man. Yeah, just lop it
I
off. I'm good. I'll
yeah.
wait. Yep.
Yeah, I still have my legacy 48 slot fighter. Its wings got changed with next, and so if they ever, I have mixed emotions about ship customization. Like I love what they've added so far, as far as the ability to upgrade your ship's class
Yeah.
and upgrade their inventory. But I also love the hunt of the ship, and I like. The fact that that's one of the things that differentiates one system from the next. And I think if you go into a full blown ship customization, that just kind of
You'll lose that.
eliminates
You will.
you'll lose that. And so
Yeah.
I think kind of like maybe. And again, this is just me. The majority of the community, I think, wants full ship customization. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see it. So you know, um, it's not going to be if that's what it is. If that's what ends up happening,
It
that's fine.
might just be the evolution of the game. We've
Right.
seen
Right.
evolution with ships before, where in the beginning we had to do the slot grind, upgrading your ship one slot at a time, to that 48 slot ship, and it changed. They introduced classes, and then you could buy all your ships as
Yeah,
well as
it
crash
changes
ships.
pretty much with every big
It
update. Like
does.
as far and that's kind of cool too. That like you get to relearn some things over again, and so
Yeah.
like it does keep you on your toes
It
as
does,
far
and they
as how
brought
things
crash
work.
ships some meaning again with this last
Right.
update because now, you can salvage the technology and use for slots, which is perfect, right? So I mean, if you don't want to grind for the money, you can grind and do some crash ship hunting, a little bit more entertaining, and personally, I kind of prefer that method in my opinion. I think that's a little bit more fun and gives you something more to do than just a basic money grind. Um,
Right.
Farming or whatnot. And we've done all. Geez, have we ever done farming?
Yeah, I know. I mean, before I went to the stasis devices, like I started when I got my living glass farm going. How many? I mean, it took a long time of going around those biodomes and collecting copyright and trying to think what else was in Frostwort and
Oh, yeah. Gamma root.
gamma wheat.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like those are the main components, and I had it, um, you know, fully maximized, but like it took a long time to,
20
but
minutes
you
for a
did it.
harvest, and then you
You-
build it. or craft it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it took time. And then of course that was
Yeah.
just one go, and then you do it again, and you do it a few times, as many times as you can. And
But
um,
I mean, you do. I mean, you spend so much time doing stuff like that, and kind of, earlier in this conversation, we were talking about, when we first met up and traveling across the galaxy for that. And I just now thought, before we were able to do that and actually see someone else's base. Um, this was between Foundation and Pathfinder. Um, I traveled. There was a group of people that were near the center of Euclid, I think, from the original Amino, and so they had named a system like Amino Hub, or it wasn't the Amino Hub, but it was Amino whatever. Um, and then they had planets that were named for a few of the members, and and then there were comm balls left at. Someone had built a base, but back then you couldn't see the base.
right,
So I
just the comm
traveled
ball. Yeah,
I traveled all the way across the galaxy just to get there, and I thought the coolest thing was seeing, someone else's comm ball with a short message, and a short message is kind of doesn't really do it justice. I mean, we're talking like a
11
quarter of a
characters or
sentence,
something.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
um,
it just says like great base or something like that. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But like, I did that. It took me forever to get there. And I, just to read a few short messages.
Yeah, but somebody else was there, and in
Right.
that
That was
time,
it. Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
we made multiplayer. We created multiplayer where there was no multiplayer. We found ways of triangulating positions where we could be in the same place at the same time on the same planet, and although we were not physically present to each other, we were both there, or however many parties that made the trek to do
Yeah.
so. The comm balls was a really nice feature, to be able to leave a comm ball and have others see it in real time as well, which is really kind of cool, because you could use that as a marker as well. Um, they've boy yeah, some of the things the community has helped the game evolve into what it is
Right.
today by showing HG what it likes and what it does, and how they play the game, and it's truly an amazing relationship between the community and the developers, and they're constantly bringing out new things, which is really quite amazing. The game just never ceases to amaze me, and obviously I always see past through the bugs and play anyways.
Right. Yeah. I do too. I do too.
It's
I
hard
mean,
not to.
someone, yeah, I mean, someone new to the game might have trouble with it. Luckily, I think as long as it's not like within 2 weeks after a major update, if they're starting a brand new save, there's not as many typically, so they don't see them as much. But yeah, I think for some newer players, those can be deal breakers, and that's too bad. But if they stick with it, those bugs will
Well,
eventually,
we learned that's part of the game. It's like the weird things that happen in real life. Um, they happen in the game too, with weird glitches. Like a
yeah,
ship flying upside down, or never
right.
landing, or
I mean,
just
you gotta,
weird
yeah,
random things. Yeah,
goofy looking creatures. I mean, you got to have a sense of humor, and that's what's fun about the game too. Is while there's plenty of mystery, and I get lost in that feeling of solitude. I mean, it still cracks me up from time to time with, either some of the stuff that they've added or some of the glitches that you see, like you mentioned the ships flying around, and the beauty of a period in time in this game. Was before portals were active, but they were in the game, as you remember, but they weren't active, and so like there were so many conspiracy theories that
that
you
took
could
on a whole life. Yep.
people were convinced that you could turn them on somehow, and so the most wild random theories, and I remember the first time I flew into I saw a formation of ships that were glitched out and they were just spinning around in the air. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? What did I discover? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the portals. I'm not sure if anyone remembers Darth Jazz Hands. He would have whole streams where he's working on portals and portal
Yes.
science and trying to figure things out. And we had some really amazing theories, and then the update comes out and they're all for naught.
Right.
And you didn't feel stupid. It just felt like, okay, the game has changed. They've activated it in a different way. We
Right.
found ways of entertaining ourselves in an open
Yeah.
world. It was a lot of fun, and the theories and crackpot ideas that we were throwing around.
Well,
Um,
I honestly think, and this is just me, that sometimes like these, like they might have had a different idea for portals, or for maybe not for portals, but for different things in the game. But like you had mentioned, the community and how we're playing the game has helped shape maybe the path that they go down. And so, um,
Absolutely, yeah.
I think some of that was, maybe up in the air, maybe not. Maybe they had that part, there all along. I, for one, would love to see, there's a few assets in the game that you saw either in the early trailers or in some of the concept art. And I don't know. I mean, concept art, that doesn't always mean it's coming. It's just concept art is all it is. But I would love if they ever plan on introducing some of those new structures that if they did it in a way like they did the portals. Now, I don't think they did the portals on purpose, meaning putting them in, and they don't function, right away. I think they just couldn't, they obviously had to cut that short because of the development cycle. But if they were to introduce a new structure and just put it in the game again, and then maybe that doesn't get activated for two more updates or the next till the next update. I mean, to me that would be fun if there was that again. Like what is this? I don't know. It just
Yeah.
showed up. Is this going to have a
Yeah.
purpose? Is it
Well,
not?
a couple updates ago, we had those introduction of the those circular
Right.
lore-based items
Yes.
that were on
Yes.
the uh, 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 there's one on this planet, the exotic planets. Um, and so they don't do anything, but you can go up to it and interact with it and tell you another story of lore. Um, and I've always believed that that is another form of portal that hasn't been activated. And when it does, of course, sentinels will pour out and it'll be like this new thing or who knows what.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that it's there. They haven't done anything with it, but it's there. And that could be activated at any time for whatever reason they feel that the community wants or needs in that direction. And that's again, there's that beautiful relationship between developer and community, is they listen to their community, and sometimes it doesn't always happen at once. It takes time, but they do.
Yeah.
It took us
Yeah.
several updates, but we got multiple multi-tools.
Oh, that was huge. I mean, so many people. That's another thing. I mean, like, I mean, they're getting to things that people were talking about a long time ago. So, like, who knows what's in store? I mean, people keep, waiting for this and that, but like they probably had a plan, like made that, the decision for what went in synthesis was made a year ago, maybe, that they were trying to squeeze into beyond or whatever. I don't know. Like, but they are listening. And I think that, you know, that's just another element to,
The whole
why we
game.
love the game
Yeah.
is the community, the game itself, no doubt about it. But the developers, they feel like, when you go back to that period of time and we believed them, and a lot of people thought that they were just going to run and hide and you would never be heard from again. They made their money and that was it. And we knew better. For one, they actually said on their website that more features would be coming, didn't make it into launch, and they even mentioned like base building of freighters on their website, on launch day. But like that was completely not enough for the
Yeah.
community, or not the, I won't say the community, but for the
The,
gaming community as a whole. They didn't believe it. And it was nice to see what we believed all along, was that they were working hard on it,
they
and
delivered.
they continued. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Stripes, I'm afraid, due to restrictions on the YouTube recording functionality on the
Ah,
PlayStation, we're going to have to cut it fairly short,
okay.
and I'm going to wrap it up very shortly. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you
Yeah.
today. I think we've had
Likewise.
almost a full hour of just chilling and chatting. I've got one last question I really want to ask you,
Sure.
and this one I ask to everybody because I like hearing all the different answers. Do you, sir, have the answers to life, the universe, and everything else?
Nope, that's I sure don't.
Mm.
I wish I did.
That,
Maybe they're tucked away in this game, Ready Player One style.
well, you never know. We like to think that it's somewhere trapped and hidden in the Zoberange Galaxy 42, and we're searching and looking and having fun doing so as well. Who knows? You never know where the answer might lie. Maybe when I get the right question, I'll find out. But you are always welcome to join us there at any time. And if you want to hang out and have a save up in 42, let me know, and we'll multiplayer hop you over there and bring you over there to the party.
Sounds good. I definitely I think that that's something that needs to happen.
Definitely, we got to have you out there. Kirby's out there, Hunter's out there. Um, I wish Nev was out there. I miss Nev. Nev, if you're
Yeah.
listening, buddy, come on, man. We want you playing again. We love you.
Well, let's wait. He's a big Clemson fan, and they're in the Final Four for college football. So that'll be wrapped up probably in the next 3 weeks. So maybe we should reach out right after that's over with. And
Good idea. Yeah, we
yeah,
need Nev back in the community. He's such a
yeah.
great source of fun and excitement.
Oh, and great base builder too. Like I love his
Oh
structure.
yeah.
That's one thing I'm terrible at. Like mine. Mine are just like little shacks every time, But I enjoy, other players' bases, and that's fun.
Yeah, I know. And he's made some great stuff. And to be honest with you, you're not too shabby yourself. I've always enjoyed your bases. Um, so with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for making the time to have this interview with me today. Stripes, everybody. Stripes by Northwest.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.